Okay, what is up? What is up? What is up? I'm going to go over to this screen here. There we go.
Let's see, does it look darker? Doesn't show us live yet.
Are you on
It says
Twitch?
live, but there's no video. Yeah, I'm on Twitch.
I don't know why Twitch is doing that. I don't know. Go to YouTube and I'm sure it will work. Because Twitch, I don't know why Twitch is doing that. Yeah, okay. No, it looks good okay for me. On YouTube anyways. All right.
Do I look blurry?
Not particularly. Maybe a little bit, but not.
Why don't I feel like we look that sharp, like razor sharp?
I don't know. I gotta maybe play around with these settings on OBS.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, other people look like so sharp.
The only thing I can assume, two things, is either because we use Discord and Discord just makes things naturally blurry, or B, maybe like partnered streamers, which is who we watch typically, get more oomph from Twitch to look better. Because I'm in 1080. Like, you can go in the settings and it even shows I'm streaming in 1080. You know?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No, even looking at people with like low numbers, some of them have like really nice looking, like the camera quality looks so good, and I know ours should be equivalent to that.
I don't know if maybe it's just because we have our webcam blown up more, but I agree. We're still not as crisp, as they say. Fuck it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You ready to start?
Yep.
All right. Hello and welcome. Welcome to episode 372 of the Centering Esports podcast presented by Philly Esports. And this is going to be the best episode ever because we have a lot of Valorant to get to. We got a lot of Counter-Strike to get to. Esports woke up this weekend, folks. A lot happened. So we need to talk about it, as well as a pretty packed e-news and exciting Yikes of the week, which involves gang rape. So, you know that's going to be good. And of course, e-news. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about Philly Esports. They are friends of the show. You can ask them, see them in Discord, ask them if you have any questions about their events. But they host multiple monthly events online, completely free of charge to sign up, and you can win cash prizes. Anuj, they just announced February 26th, 2v2, or I say 2v2, duos, I guess is how they say it in BR world. Duos. Are we in?
For which game?
Fortnite. Duos.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Let's do it. Philly
Esports.
Love it.
February 26th, duo tournament. Anuj and I will be the ones not building. So.
Oh, okay. There's a strategy to this, though. It's not like Tim and I are elite builders if we wanted to.
If we wanted to be.
We just chose not to learn the mechanic over the past 3 years.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So there's that.
I'm down. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you can also join that tournament and die to us, lose, at phillyesports.gg. You tell them the Center Ring sent you.
Hey, this is Tarek from Optic Gaming, and I'm listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of The Centering, a.k.a. TCR, a.k.a. your favorite esports podcast. My name is Tim. Oh, no. Way ahead of myself. It's your favorite esports podcast. This episode is coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date February 7th, 2022. The time, 9:05 p.m. Follow us on Twitter at The Centering. Join our Discord, Patreon if you like. Blah, blah, blah. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports. And alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What is up?
What's up, dude? Happy Monday. Happy show day. You're right. Esports is like full effect right now. Like we got it going everywhere. We don't have a long enough show now. This is why we went to 2 shows initially, because we don't have a long enough show to cover everything that took place this weekend.
No, we don't. Yeah, like this would be a perfect 2 episodes a week. 2 episodes this week would be perfect. However, we got Lost Ark to play, so we can't do 2 episodes this week, folks. Sorry. We
are streaming more.
We would love to do 2 episodes this week, but there's just no way we can pencil it in.
Tim and I have been streaming more. We've been good about saying let's just turn it on while we're playing.
Yes.
So if you just want to come and chat esports with us, we're always open to doing that. So we'll definitely be streaming this week. I mean, I feel like we're going to have it on. Yep. Tim was a mastermind and figured out our ultra-wide resolution issue that we both run into while streaming. So I feel like we're like obligated to stream a little bit more now that we don't have that excuse.
Absolutely. Look, there's a few observations I want to make before we get into the meat of the show. Observation 1, Anuj, you make enough money, and I know you do. You desperately need a new mic arm because yours looks very depressed and like slouching away from you.
It's dying. Look at it.
Yeah,
it's dying. I need to replace it. I've been saying I'm going to replace it.
It's so loud, right? Like right now, your mic just got so loud because it doesn't sit in a normal spot anymore. So it's just constantly like.
No, it's like it's struggling over here.
You need a new mic arm.
This is the highest it'll sit up.
Yeah, no, you desperately need a new one. It will not sit
higher than this.
So that's observation 1. Observation 2, you are absolutely right. We streamed every day this weekend, apart from Sunday. But it's not really the weekend. That's the week beginning. So we streamed, I think like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah. Some Counter-Strike action, some Fortnite. So a lot of Counter-Strike. We got right back into Counter-Strike just in time to get out of it with Lost Ark.
But it's exactly the type of like touch I need with that game.
It's a wonderful game.
You know, like give me 10, 15. I mean, we probably actually played 20 plus games in the past few days, but
still haven't ranked up. We looked. Somehow I have won like 18. I'm like 18, 2-2 for my last however many games that is, like 22 games. And I'm still the same rank that I was at the start.
Now, granted, we're playing short matches. I ranked up 1 time during that time. And I've played more games than you did that I won.
I know.
And I had a 1 rank up in that whole time. So
and we're not doing bad. Like, even when we're winning, it's like we're typically doing well in those games. I get that it's short matches, but good Lord.
It's been a lot of fun. I've actually really been enjoying it again.
No, it's been a lot of fun. Like you said, since the dawn of time, since man has discovered fire, it has been believed that you could not stream widescreen. Like, it just was impossible to get a widescreen resolution to go on Twitch. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking for Lost Ark content. I'm getting the juices flowing. I want to watch people play the game. And I click on just a random dude, a random Lost Ark streamer. He's Brazilian, doesn't even speak English, primarily on his stream. And I'm watching it, and all of a sudden I notice, I'm like, wait a minute. Is this son of a bitch streaming widescreen? And then I sent you the link, and I'm like, I think I'm tripping on stuff because this guy is streaming on a widescreen format. Sure enough, I move him over to my widescreen monitor, enlarge, boom, corner to corner full. Looks beautiful. And I'm like, what is going on here? So I asked him.
All we needed, though, to know that it's possible.
All you need is a mustard seed of faith. And so, sure enough, I asked him in chat. I'm like, yo, what's going on here? And sure enough, he was like, yeah, it's a setting in OBS. So then I'm trying to look on Streamlabs, trying to figure out everything. It's not working. If you follow us on Twitch or YouTube, I apologize because your notifications got blown up with me going offline, online, offline like 20 times trying to figure this out. And sure enough, someone in Discord, I forget who it was like, oh, well, on OBS it might work. So I switched over to OBS, downloaded OBS. So, we typically use Streamlabs. Poof. Just like that. You type in the resolution, you type in the scale, and boom, that's it. It works.
Done. Here we are.
Nothing fancy. You don't need to download anything crazy. It just works. So right now we're in 1080 normal because for the show, what's the point? But for gaming, I don't have to sit here and we don't have to sit here and play in window mode. We don't have to do like crazy except for Counter-Strike because Counter-Strike.
I wonder what it looks like for somebody that doesn't have a widescreen monitor if they're watching this.
Like if you were watching a widescreen movie format before,
okay.
It
shrinks it off a little bit on the top.
It shrinks it a little bit and stuff. And but if you're watching on your phone and flip it over, it looks beautiful because the phone is a widescreen format if you flip it.
No, it's been great. And like I said, it kind of pushed us into streaming this whole weekend. That's the most streaming we've done in the last year. It was 3 days in a row.
The only thing that looks goofy are games like Counter-Strike where they're not widescreen format because not only do you have the black bars on the side, but you have the black bars on top, so the screen just looks small.
Yeah.
But you know what, Anuj? I don't care. At this
it's
point,
still a square.
I don't care.
Close enough.
If it allows,
and people are watching us for our clutch gameplay.
Yeah, if people are just getting able to watch, I'm not going to sit here and whine over it. As long as I don't have to adjust everything on my monitor to make it work, I'm fine.
We just happened to be playing Counter-Strike at that time, this week.
Most of the time,
beyond.
It's not an issue. So that being said,
great.
We did switch to OBS Studios. As Anuj pointed out before we started recording, I don't know, I'm not a stream genius. If you are, and you know how to make the stream look crispy clean, let us know. I don't know what settings, I'm following the settings that we always see online. Now, this is the same online that said that streaming that's what I don't understand. We Googled so much how to stream on a widescreen format, and not once did a website just say to use OBS. Not one website out there said to do it. So I don't trust the internet anymore, but I don't get how to make it look as crisp as other streamers mention,
we're both using good cameras.
Yeah, it's not. We're
both using nice cameras, good lenses.
They're full blown.
We upgraded all of this stuff.
Cameras. So and it's not that it looks bad. It just does not look crisp.
It doesn't look like the way I see you right now is not how it looks on stream.
Right. Yeah. So.
And we're doing this over Discord. So really, if anybody has an idea on what we're doing here, drop a comment, let us know. We would really appreciate that.
Yes. Number 3 on my docket is little self promo for a buddy of mine. I used to work with him at the radio station. He works for a company. I don't know all the details here. I have the email. I'll post it in Discord. Essentially, they are looking for beta testers for a new streaming platform. And I said, buddy, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think people are going to do it. And he was like, well, it's not supposed to be like Twitch. It's more of like a social gathering streaming platform rather than a gaming media platform. All I know, it's with HP Omen. If you do it, you can get an Amazon gift card and some free stuff. So if that interests you, I will post the details in our Discord. I told him I would give a shout out on the show. I don't know really any more details than that, but there you have it. So if you're into that stuff, hit me up.
Should we talk about next week's schedule right now?
What's next?
While we're live on air?
Yeah, so what's next week?
So next week, my wife works the 14th, which means we're doing Valentine's Day on either Sunday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So we might have to do the show on one of those other days, either Sunday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So just a heads up, anybody that's listening,
well, you let me know what day you're doing Valentine's Day, or I'll let you know what day I'm doing Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's why I'm throwing it out there, is because you might be also doing it, and I understand with kids, you might be doing it on Sunday, whenever the mom can watch the kids or whatever.
Only suckers do Valentine's Day on the 14th. I'm not about that Valentine's Day dinner crowd.
I don't even know if we're really going to, go to dinner somewhere casual, just get out of the house.
McDonald's or something. Yeah. That's fine there. Tomorrow, Lost Ark comes out. Obviously, as we've talked about, we are playing it. Anuj, our server master, what server are we going to be on? I will say, as of 9:15 on February 7th, 2022.
If you know anything about MMO launches, this is a fluid conversation, so you'll have to keep up to date in Discord. As of right now, we're going on to the Usd Server, Azena, Azena. It looks like it's going to be one of the more populated servers. So the reason I say that is if queue times are like 1 day, we might end up switching servers. But if it's like a couple of hours, then we're going to hold pat. We know numbers will drop off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as bad as Halo, but numbers will drop off a little bit. And we should be able to then get in smooth after just a few weeks to a month of playing. Yeah. So
we don't want another New World situation where
there's 300 people on a Saturday night
right.
across the whole realm. Yeah, it's a problem.
So, but that's it. I think that's it. Anything else on our to-do list?
They'll see us online a lot this week, though, guys. So yeah, we'll be streaming this whole week.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime Tim's on until I set up OBS on my computer, you can expect to see us online.
That is true. We'll get your OBS set up. It's easy to set up. Difficult to master the crispiness look. So if people know more and have more of a patience than I do when it comes to this, you let me know. So there's that for you. Okay, so let's get into the show, shall we? As we have some yikes of the week to get to. Just kick it off. Anuj, my yikes of the week, okay? Much like Ned Stark. That's the dad from Game of Thrones, right?
I got you.
Much like Ned Stark, and I think about this often. I carry this philosophy with me in life, that if you're going to order the execution, you got to be willing to swing the sword. And I carry that with me. And I say that when I bring up this yikes with a heavy heart. Halo is officially back. Back to being the most dead game that a dead game could be. As Forbes posted an article where the headline stated, Halo has fallen out of Xbox's top 5 and Steam's top 100. And I know some people are thinking, well, I mean, falling out of the top 5, what's the big deal there? Well, when you are supposed to be the marquee game for your console, and for the longest time, people would be like, hey, and I even said this, I'm guilty of this. When Anuj would be like, hey, Halo's numbers look kind of rough. And I'd be like, yeah, but you don't see Xbox's numbers, okay? It's like number 1 and doing so good on Xbox, and it's not picking up the Xbox app players, so it's clearly the number 1 game of all time. Not so much. And hey, look, I am the resident Halo fanboy of the podcast. If it weren't for me, there wouldn't be a Halo esports scene. Let's be real. And even I have to admit that when a game is dead, it is dead. And Halo at this very moment is dead.
I don't want to be that person that says I told you so. But this was the worry I had from day one. Is if there's not enough, what's going to keep somebody playing? It's been the issue since the moment the game came out was what is there beyond this 4-map rotation of ranked play? Because Big Team Battle has been a mess this whole time. It's just been a disaster.
Straight up broken.
Just not a working game mode. So that leaves you with the non-ranked mode, which if you've played that, anyone out there, it's
the
trash
worst.
To start off with an assault rifle and the pistol. It's just
there's never been
trash
a game
format.
There has never been a game more polar opposite than your competitive mode and casual mode than Halo. And that's been the case since day 1 in Halo. Pro settings is the only way to play Halo, but still.
And then you have Fiesta, which is this mode that they've just been shoving down our throat nonstop as one of the premier other game modes that they have. Obviously, they've added some stuff recently in terms of some stuff to the playlist, but not enough. And I really am interested to see what viewership numbers are this week, or for the next major.
Anaheim is this weekend.
This week. I think it'll be less than half of what it was. Maybe half. Would be a solid if it pushed around 150. That would be,
Bro,
I would think,
that would
really
be
good.
with drops. I think it will be at like 150. And last you looked it up, it was like 260
drops out of the I have the game, and if I don't actively remember, I don't really care to go back just for the drops. If I'm not playing the game, the drop doesn't mean nearly as much to me. Sure, I would like to go get it. I'll probably watch it just for the sake of the show. But I'm so disinterested because of the lack of support from the development team that's only supporting this game.
Right.
This is all you guys have. It's not like 343 is managing 10 games out there, and this is just another one of them. This is your flagship game. You've been working on it for 6 years. We still don't have co-op. We still don't have any news of Forge. There was supposed to be a development update in January that got delayed for whatever reason. How are all these things?
When you are delaying your update, things have gone horribly wrong. Things are not going great when you're delaying what was supposed to be just like a casual, hey guys, this is what we got in the pipeline. That's not good. And this is, so for me, as what I would consider a true diehard fan of Halo, it sucks to see a game that we've even talked about, and I will still say to this, where the core gameplay from a competitive sense was awesome. We played it for a month straight, and we had a core squad that get on every night, and it was a ton of fun. But then it was okay, so
the desync issues become repetitive.
The desync issues, dying behind the wall, meleeing people and it not registering. I had an issue, and it wasn't just me, but the game crashing every 5 maps that you can't rejoin back in. And so I would lose half a rank because it would think that I quit the match. And then it was the fact that the
ranking system itself was an issue in its own.
But it's even then, if it's messed up for everyone, then I guess it's even they're fixing it, but it's whatever. Ranking
the no anti-cheat for a game that's releasing on PC.
And they've even said before, if you can go watch developer blogs while it's making, and they were if you're making a game for the PC, you have to have anti-cheat. And then it's boom, here's a game a year delayed with no anti-cheat. My issue is I gave 343 way too much benefit of the doubt. I'm surely they're releasing multiplayer ahead of campaign by a month, so that way when the campaign comes out, we'll have all this stuff and it will launch with all this crazy things, and then they're just going to hit us with the pipeline of updates. And it's I would love to get a Watergate version of a developer for 343. Watergate, right? That's Nixon, right? Yeah. I would love to get a Watergate report from a developer there, because I have to know what's going on behind closed doors. It's are you guys just sitting there playing foosball? What is going on to where
it's just my excitement levels just dropped off of a cliff?
There's nothing. I don't understand. Then they announce an update, and it's oh, hey guys, we have new armor coming out and this new event coming out. But okay, and you can do these challenges. Oh, and the challenge is to play Fiesta again.
And that's the coolest skin you can currently get, because all the other stuff is either behind a paywall or just the stuff that's behind the paywall even sucks.
Yeah. So for me, as a competitive player, who likes to play competitive, I have no desire. I don't care what the skin is. I have no desire to go play. We don't have all day to play games. I'm not going to spend 3 hours that I have to play on Fiesta.
No.
Just
doesn't this have a very New World-esque kind of feel? Think about it, right? The first 200 hours for us in New World were amazing. It was some of the most fun and new and exciting gameplay I'd felt in a little while. Think about Halo. The first 100 or so hours that we put into Halo, we really enjoyed. We grinded it with our boys. It was just the fact that it was something new. It felt pretty good. But then once you've, in New World, achieved max level, in Halo kind of set your rank limits or where you are in your rank area, and then you start to notice all the flaws in the game. And then you pick up on the next set of flaws. And then the development cycle is slow. It's literally mimicking on each game, right? And now, with just like in New World could push out a really good update but I'm not that interested in going back. Like, I've already uninstalled New World and moved on from that part of my life.
I
Not
almost
to say
feel
I
like
would never go back to Halo, but it's going to take more than just, hey, we have an anti-cheat, like, come back and play. Like,
right.
that's not enough anymore.
No, I feel like Halo is almost like I don't even want to give Halo the dignification of, is that a word? Dignification? It is
Sounds
now.
wrong, but I'm not
It
sure.
is. It is now. Argue with me. I don't even like New World was a new, now albeit Amazon, but it was a new studio. Like they didn't technically have a roadmap or like some template to go off of based off of what they wanted. Halo, you guys have Master Chief Collection with Battle Pass systems and all the game modes in the world. Like this is like your 5th or 6th Halo. Like for you to come out,
they didn't reinvent the wheel with this game.
No, that's what I don't get. Like for them to come out and only have 5 maps in the competitive pool where one is so bad that they already took it off in Behemoth. Like it was such a bad map that they took it off. Now it's like you're playing the same map 3 times in a row, but with 3 different game modes. It's like they're acting like they're some new studio who built this new thing and they're asking people for patience. Bro, you're Halo. That's not how this shit works. You build a good game and you put it out there. You put maps in there. People, I feel like the whole anti-cheat ranking thing was like the thing people were giving them time to do. It was the content that was like, okay, guys, where's this stuff at? And then they're coming out with an update, acting like it was some big deal with this update coming out in the next couple of days. But nowhere in the update does it bring up server stability, desync issues, rejoining servers you left. No, you know what they said? We're resetting the rank system. That's it on the competitive side. Like, cool, dude.
Like, who's really excited for that without the other fixes?
Right. So you mean
I
lose my rank and I get to re-grind with shitty servers again? Like, no thanks. I'm out.
Like, without the new game excitement, you got to do that all over again.
Yeah.
Who's that appealing to?
I hope you enjoyed getting to Onyx with shitty servers, because guess what? You get to do it again. Like,
it's embarrassing. I mean, the way they're running that is a complete joke, and yeah, I mean,
it is
Halo to me is like pretty close to the word dead. Like,
can I say one thing, and then we can move on to yours, because I know you're super excited to get to this. Mm-hmm. It is a shame from an esports perspective that when you have development like this, like, and this only happens like in esports, where the esports side of it has done nothing wrong, like esports Halo has done nothing wrong. They had an amazing event. They have partnered teams. They're having open brackets. Like, they are doing nothing wrong. They're working with what they got. It's the development side of the game that is letting it down. We're talking just about
the game. Yeah, the way the league has been run, the players in the league, like there's so many fascinating, like intriguing player stories to follow. There's already villains, like we have all the esports side put together. It's just the game sucks, and it's the Call of Duty effect, right? Like Vanguard, unfortunately, is just not a good game. The league, the players give you enough to talk about and be engaged.
At least with Vanguard, you can tell yourself it's only going to be like 8 months. It's just 8 months, and we'll move on. Halo, you're like, this is it for like the next 6 years. Like, they gotta fix this.
Call of Duty already announced Infinity Ward is making the next one, and rumors are that it's Modern Warfare 2 or some sort of new and exciting type gameplay. So people are already, their minds are already thinking of next year. You can't do that with Halo. It's just, what
they
are you
gotta fix
2027?
They just have to fix it.
Yeah, they gotta fix it. All right, my yikes. I was stoked for this one. Woman gang raped in metaverse. That's the headline, guys. Yes, I said it. And the reason this is a yikes is I think this does a little bit of disservice to people that are actually gang raped in real life. Like, I don't think the two are comparable, and I think you can say one is harassment. Like, harassment could be the word that you're using, but to say, like, it started getting tossed around, and obviously news outlets picked up on it, that a woman was gang raped in the metaverse, and she tells her story and how, like, a group of guys approached her and started talking vulgar, and then it led to touching, and then they tackled her in game and started saying things to her and like, feeling her up and this and that. And like, all I was thinking of this whole time was take the freaking headset off. Like walk away from that. I know that's not the best solution, right? Like there should be some sort of, like they even have a system in the game called a boundary system where you can turn it on and essentially puts a bubble around yourself.
Right, like
so nobody
can
like touch you or do anything. She said the game started freezing up and she wasn't able to like turn it on quick enough, and everything happened so fast and she was like traumatized from the event. So, I mean, I know this is not the best solution out there, but like walk away from your computer for a minute, Alt F4, Control Alt Delete. Like I'm thinking of things just off the top of my head.
I mean, listen, we've all been spawn camped before, right? We've all been spawn camped. Like
we've all been teabagged.
I've all logged off and I just found an alt until the guy left the graveyard in WoW or something. Like we've all been there before. I respect the mental emotional drama. Sure, I'll say that. But I also I don't think she should be able to walk into any support group and like all these women and men talking about their sexual assault trauma, and then she's like, guys, in the metaverse, I was gang raped. People would be like, hold up, what? Say that one more time?
First, I'd be like, what's the metaverse?
And I'm not going to lie. I still don't really understand what the metaverse is. Is that Facebook thing, right?
Yeah, well, the metaverse in general is like kind of, it's a virtual world.
Okay.
Think of it that way. Meta is the Facebook company
Meta.
Okay. But Meta World is like a virtual world. Think Sims. You're playing as a Sims character essentially, and like, I mean, it's just we shouldn't be using the word gang raped in this scenario. She was harassed online, and she could have walked away. Like it's not like she was wearing a bodysuit and the sense of touch then gets transferred to her body. And like this is not the nerve gear system from Sword Art Online. Like that's just not. We're not that far advanced yet. So she could have easily removed the Oculus headset, maybe reset the game, log out for a minute.
Did the article mention
they have another solution to avoid these? Like you have ways to get yourself out of it.
Did the article mention what she was wearing by chance?
Well, nothing by the end of it, it sounds like.
I'm just kidding. Gang rape is not funny, folks. Gang rape is not funny.
Gang rape in the metaverse, though,
is a little bit more funny.
A little more trivial.
All right. So they're your yikes of the week. Mental note, got to put in the Google Doc for the Timmies. I think you deleted last week's before we did. Didn't you?
Oh.
There you go. Did. They're lost into the nether. We'll never know. There's no possible way.
I can hit back 346 times and eventually see which one it is.
No possible way we can ever go and see what last week's Yikes of the Week was.
If anybody's in show and knows what our Timmys were last week, throw them in chat so we can jot it down.
All right, so there you have it. One of the Blast events wrapped up this weekend. It was a qualifier for another qualifying event. I know that, but that doesn't diminish what it was.
So it was a qualifier for two things, Tim. Let me just educate the audience real quick. The top 6 from this event, out of 12, the top 6 from this event moved over to the spring final, which is a bigger event that then can get you into like the Blast Global Final should you win that. Okay, so that automatically gets you into the spring final. The bottom 6, we're going to go to the spring showdown, which was like a last chance qualifier to get into that spring final.
Okay,
so does that make sense?
Yes, I'm following along. So I know we've already talked about pretty much the group stages.
Yeah, we can fast forward straight into the single elimination bracket. And I think we can kind of go from there and just general thoughts, because we don't have to dive too far into this, right? This is not a major we're talking about, and we actually have some major talk that we'll do here in a moment. But this is really just highlighting like Counter-Strike early in the season, right? That's what I want to talk about, is what we're taking away. Did your takeaways from the first half of the event, translate to the back half? Did we learn something new? And
I would say, so one of my big takeaways from the first half was I'm not worried about any of these teams just yet. I'm not saying any team needs to do a roster move, because I'll defend why over roster moves can hurt your team when we talk in Valorant. However, NA still has me not confident whatsoever. Like, I feel like this is not going to be another fun year for NA Counter-Strike.
Okay, so I agree with that statement to a certain extent. I thought last week's results, I wasn't excited, even though Liquid had gotten a win because it was against another NA team. A couple takeaways from the NA, so let's just get NA out of the way. I think Complexity's project is going to take a little bit longer to develop than people were thinking that it would. I think they thought that they would be a little bit more like ready to go for tier 1 opponents. And I think that's going to be a little bit more of a project than maybe some people anticipated. I know not everybody thought they were going to be like some juggernaut team, and nobody thought they were going to be like the best team in the world. But they thought they would be a good team, potentially fighting for top 10, top 15 consistently. I think it might take them a little bit of time. I don't see it being a instant success, but I wouldn't walk away from this roster anytime soon. Like I think their team would, given the time, can develop into a consistent top 3 NA team. For Liquid and Evil Geniuses, my gut tells me only one of these teams is going to be good. I couldn't tell you which one right now. Like, I really couldn't. I think it is truly a toss-up. My heart wants to say, oh, I really hope EG can do it, right? Like, I really hope that EG can take the next step. But my brain with EG tells me Automatic hasn't been playing a lot of Counter-Strike. Rush has been benched for a long time. We don't know what kind of player Stewie is outside of Liquid anymore. Like, I feel like his game has changed quite a bit since the early Stewie to like the mid-career Stewie, where he's playing in more of a supportive type role, and now you kind of need him to be a little bit more of the guy again. So I have question marks there. And then Breeze and Cirque were two players that were always on the verge of just kind of being dropped. I agreed that they should have stuck with them and added them to this roster. But after watching them this weekend, I'm like, okay, like it still looked like more of the same. And then Liquid, I kind of get that same kind of like, okay, I think they can be good, but like, will they ever be really good? Like, yeah, they could be top 10. Like, they have enough raw talent on there, but do I see this roster like going beyond expectations and maybe breaking into the top 5? I really don't think so. Like, I still think we're a ways away and finding some new fresh talent. Like, we're bringing back people, right? You're trying to relive Shock's 2016. We're trying to look at Nitro as what he was maybe like 2 years ago.
I think that's part of the issue with NA, right? Is they're not trying to find that new undeveloped talent, right? They're either trying to get people that are EU leftovers. Not saying like Shox is a leftover, but we all know when EU plays on an NA team, it says something about where that player's career is at. Like, let's be real.
It's like kind of going to the MLS at this point, right?
Yeah.
You're going from EuroLeague to MLS. You could still be like Zlatan and be really good, but you're not like in your prime anymore. Like, you're not going to get that prime 2016, 2017 Shox anymore.
No. And I think at the same side too, it's like, what? OBO is like, what would you say is kind of the next up and coming, like, or at least he was at one point in time. So it's, I don't know, like, what pipeline is NA looking at?
And OBO is like still unsigned. It's like kind of you don't even know what's happening.
That's what I'm saying, right? So it's like, what was supposed to be our young, like, oh man, this young kid signed. He was supposed to be our Monase. Like,
yeah, or our ROPS even, like a young guy that takes over. He was supposed to be
that guy that you pick up and he takes over the squad, and then he went to EU and was like, I'm out. I can't do this. So it sucks. Like, it just, for an NA fan, we've said it 1,000 times, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's like,
I don't feel any more confident.
You know what I need? I need Counter-Strike to go back to normal, and I don't think at this point it ever will. I think this is the new normal. I think Counter-Strike is just a European esport at this point, in the sense of even the NA teams are playing over in Europe. I don't think we're ever going to get that true NA side anymore, because that's what it was. Like when ESL had it back in the day and you had the top NA teams based in NA competing against each other, you were able to see the top talent and rising to the top. At this point, you just don't see it anymore, and everyone's sticking with EU side, and
it'll like be the next iteration of the game for NA to like fully come back, because you need to bring people back into the game, and I feel like just younger talent in NA is playing Valorant. If they're playing an FPS.
And it's just if you don't have the NA tournaments, you're not going to get younger kids or even kids who are 18, 16 years old trying to compete in a game where they're like, okay, so what? I have to make it over to Europe to even get noticed at this point? Like, and then you have to then compete against the European Academy teams that could probably beat half of our NA top talent on over on our side. Like, we've said it a lot, but NACS is in a weird, difficult spot to where it's like, out of these teams that you see here, it's like, where do you go? Like, there's just nowhere to go. So that being said, thoughts and prayers for NA. We'll see where they go. Na'Vi, I know we mentioned, like, I wouldn't be too worried about Na'Vi from the group stage. They're still on that major hangover. Look, they didn't look spectacular, but they did come out defeating NIP finally 2-0. I'm still like not too look, if I'm Na'Vi fan, do I love the way this event worked out? No, but I still would just chalk it up to it's the first event after their year,
I really have zero concern.
I would be more concerned with Boomich's facial hair than I am about their performance.
Like that looks like some like different type of body hair.
Let's call it what it is. It's pubes.
Yeah,
the man has pubes on his face.
It's rough. A good little clean shave. I know he's made enough this past year.
He can get away with it, but you listen. You gotta cut that.
You're on camera.
Yeah, you gotta shave that.
You're on camera. Like,
you have to shave it.
Take a little pride.
They may not ever win again,
but not worried about them. I think the biggest. I shouldn't say surprise of the weekend because he's on everybody's watch list, but was just how good Monase looked on G2. I mean, he had arguably a Play of the Year nominee. He made me create a BDP Facebook group for Tim and I, so I knew we don't forget that play.
Yeah.
10 months from now. I literally started a group for us to post BDPs in our Facebook chat just so I could add that play because he really...
For those who don't know, you have to look at it. But it was a 4v1. He had an op. Bomb was down B site on Inferno. 4v1. And he clutched it. You could slow that thing down to a quarter of a frame a second. It still will not make sense. Like, the shots and the flicks that he were doing, it was insane. I was saying last week, we'll see what it's like when he gets to land and everything like that. I'm not concerned at this point. Look, when you are, how old did he say? He's 16? 16 years old. And you are having Nico, your best, top player in the world, and your teammate, when he is laughing at what you just did, but in like the I can't believe it kind of laughing, you're good. Like, don't change anything you're doing. Like, you have nothing to worry about. And, Anuj, for people watching us this week on stream, trust me when I say this, because I know a thing about 4v1 clutches. It was pretty impressive.
It's a tough thing to do, And I mean, just the way he did it, it was like on front of B-site, like couple of no-scopes, a couple of crazy flicks. He positioned himself so well. I mean, he just... overall just looked really good. Like we talked about G2 needing an opper that could help control the pace of the game for him, help take control and open up sites for them to get through. And I feel like after one qualifier event, his confidence level has to be through the roof. And I think his teammates' confidence level in him is equally as high. And that happened after one qualifier event. The only team that really gave them fits this weekend was Vitality. And not super surprising because Vitality, we all expected to be really good with that roster, right? Like nobody's overly shocked that Vitality is a tough out for anyone this year. I think everybody knows that. So to lose to them, you took a map. It wasn't the end of the world. I thought it was really impressive. And so overall, for me, G2 like kind of raised expectations because there was still a little bit of an unknown with the amount of changes and would this all work and would he step up. I think we all feel pretty confident in Monose right now and think that even though it might not be like this every event, we feel great about his future in CS. Like he truly looks like a young and rising star.
Like I said, just from a mental aspect, the fact that it was like, Nuge, when I was 4v1 this weekend and I said, are you ready for these God plays? The world laughed at me. And I came right out, flashed and all, killed all 4, and defused the bomb, right?
The self-flash.
Well, no. The one was not me. You can go watch the tape. I did not flash myself. But it's still nonetheless, I defeated on a 4v1 where the entire team gave up on me. It's the mental strength that me and Monose have that make us on another level. Because the fact that he's 16 and 4v1, he could have easily have just said, I'm going to peek this corner and, I'll probably die. Oh, I'm up against other pros and they've been veterans and blah, blah, blah. I'm the youngest guy here, whatever, right? Like I'm nervous. And he had a million excuses, but the fact that he goes in there and just big dicks that entire lobby like that, like
no moment felt too big for him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the fact that he's like going up against these guys and challenging the fight. Like he's not just trying to hold an angle. Like he is straight up peaking on a 4v1 to challenge this when he has the op. It's unreal. Unreal confidence from a 16-year-old playing against the best players in the world.
I think OG probably feels the same level of confidence after the swap for Alexi B and Nexa. They came out and topped their groups, won their single elimination bracket, and now they're sitting here with finished top 3 as well this weekend. Looked really good. So I'm sure they feel good about where they're at with their lineup right now. I still think want to see them. I mean, they did play Astralis and took them out twice. But to me, Astralis has... We could talk about them actually for a minute now. Astralis finished in the Spring Showdown. They finished in the bottom 6. A little worried about that group, Tim. They looked, to me, good in that first event or two when this roster change happened. That was before anybody else's roster changes happened, right? Like they were the leaders in terms of they were able to do it because of how contracts expired. And so looking at them, this weekend, the event before, I'm a little worried about that team. I don't know if this is... I kind of have the same worry here that I had about G2 previously. I don't have faith in their opper. That's a nerve-wracking feeling. Zipnix looks like somebody who's at the end of an expiring contract rather than somebody who's been re-signed and is at the first year of a 3-year contract that he has laid out in front of him. And Config really hasn't been like what he was in those first few events over the last handful, couple of events now. So I'm just not nearly as confident in them as I was maybe at the turn of the year. I think they still have the ability to hold a top 10 spot for a while, but I don't know. I don't see them taking home many trophies this year. Like Lucky just doesn't instill a ton of faith in me.
You know what they look like?
They're a player or two away still.
You know what they look like, Anuj? They look normal. And I just think we're not used to seeing Astralis look normal. It's not even that they look incredibly bad, right? Because they don't. It's just they look normal, right? They don't have that same composure that they once did, and rightfully so. I mean, you lose half your team plus your coach that was so like worldly renowned to being like the most stable brain in the game, right? So rightfully so that they don't look the same. But to me, they look normal. And it only took their roster getting blown up to do it. But, you know.
You almost feel like they stuck with Zipnix when really they should have been fighting to keep like Majisk or Dupree. Because both of those guys are going to elevate Vitality to championship contender level, right? Like I can see Vitality playing in many, many finals throughout this year. I can see G2 playing in a handful of finals this year. Navi, obviously. Can't say that about Astralis. Like, I mean, I think they would be lucky to get one title this year with the way the rest of the competition looks, and I think just how that roster is currently comprised, I don't really see it taking them that far.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Speaking of one last roster just to touch on, because they do deserve at least a shout out, and that's FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan ended up winning their final match against Big 2-1. They look good. I mean, there's
not much more to add from what we said last time, right? They only played one other match. It was against Big. They beat them 2-1. They look good. Like, they continue to look good. Rops is playing really well. Brokey, played awesome in their match against Big, but they are also going to be a contender throughout this. If that team is not a contender, though, that would just be an embarrassment, right? Like, they've dumped a lot of money into this lineup.
Look, much like I swear to God, you could just play the same thing we said about every FaZe Clan in the last 5 years and repeat it. But it's like, if this roster doesn't pan out to be at least in the discussion as a contender, I think it severely hurts the stock of every single player on it. Like, Twists, like, he's been on FaZe long enough to where they weren't crazy. Rops makes the switch over, and I hate to say it because I love me some Rops, but like, Mouse was struggling for a long while before he left. Like, it wasn't like they were struggling and then he decided to peace out very early on in it. Like, they've been struggling. That's why he had to leave, right? Because they were struggling for a long time.
They were struggling outside of his performance, right? Like, he was the consistent player for their team.
But I'm still like expecting this roster to do well. Like, I don't think it, but if it doesn't, I think it severely hurts the stock of everyone.
They obviously got to work on their overpass. They got smacked 16-2 by Big in their one map loss, but I think they'll be a good team. It would be really hard for them not to be with Brokey, Twist, and Rops on the team. Like, it would be unimaginable for them to not do well. So I think we have a very heavy top four in Counter-Strike right now. Like, these guys are all going to beat up on each other. I think they're all going to have a couple of titles when it's all said and done. And Tim, the major now, has officially been announced, so we can start to, like, use the eye test leading up to this event.
Well, and before that, we even have Katowice next week, right? It's on the 15th, Katowice starts. So we'll definitely have a good measurement on where some of these teams, that's the words I'm trying to say, by the time we get to the major. When is the next major? Major will be in, this is literally the worst name for any place on the planet. Antwerp. May 9th through the 22nd. For those who don't know, half an hour from Brussels, capacity 24,000. I know some people were like confused about the location, whatever. At this point, I just wanted to happen.
I've been to Belgium. And we went to Bruges, and it is a gorgeous country. So it's a not the biggest place in the world, but it's absolutely like lined with it's just gorgeous. It's just a very, very pretty place to be. So cool location. The venue looks kind of cool too, and it's got a large capacity. I saw 25,000
Yeah.
capacity. Yeah. So I mean that's going to be a pretty packed stadium. I anticipate them being sold out because it's such a centralized location in Europe that you can take the train from so many places to get there pretty quick. But yeah, a lot of changes for this major, or changes leading up to the major that Valve just announced too.
Yeah, only one RMR tournament per region will decide all the major teams. So you don't have, like last year was that very drawn out process of the points and you needed like an entire poster board just to follow it. This is pretty much just you have a qualifying tournament.
Give me a clutch or kick on each of these as we go. So do you like that new format? Right
because
there?
We have two majors, yeah. I mean, you can't have a point system. What are you going to do? Have 15 tournaments before every major to get enough points to figure it out? So this makes sense. You just have one qualifying event.
Super nerve-wracking, I must add.
Nerve-wracking, but I love that. Like the fact that you have like one event to qualify for your RMR, I personally like it.
It almost feels like a college football season crammed into one event.
Right.
Like you will either make it or break it right there, make it into one of the big three, or you don't. And you have to bring your A game that weekend, or I mean, your dreams of winning a major for the first half of the year at least are gone. But I agree with you. It makes for the RMR event to now be a major-esque type of event.
Yeah, like the hype going into it is going to feel just as big rather than like how we kind of see with Valorant, right? It's just so drawn out and so many different qualifiers. You're like, I don't know which one I should care about and which one I shouldn't. Like I
still don't even understand the VCT system.
No, it's not exciting. It's not an exciting system. That's what you need to know. Other than that, RMRs have been consolidated into 3 regions: Europe, America, and Asia. I will kick this. I don't like this for the same exact reason I didn't like the European region broken down for VCT. So that includes Russia.
Yeah,
like the and I think CIS in general for FPS games, I can't speak on MOBAs and esports in general, but I think for FPS games, the CIS has enough top tier talent to where they can and should be broken down into their own.
So, okay, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. I kind of like that they did this, and not because I'm just rooting for America and whatnot, like, oh yes, we got our teams are going to be in there. The number of teams, and this is going to steal your next bullet point, the number of teams for each major, for each region can change, right? So they could say, well, Europe needs 9 teams because there are so many good teams, and US, you're only going to get 2, right? Which is a real possibility. It might even be 1. Realistically,
which can you really argue that?
No, you can't. That's why I'm in favor of this.
If you're an American, if an NA fan, can you argue that?
Separating CIS, then it becomes an issue of how many slots do we give them to make it fair, because they do have so many top tier teams, but let's be real, it's top heavy, right? So like there's 3 teams in the top 10 from CIS. So what do you say for their RMR then? Like, oh, let's give them 3 slots because 3 teams deserve to be in because they are in the top 10. But then what's the point of them even having an RMR? Like, they're almost a given to get in.
Right.
Or do you take a slot away from them because it's a smaller, quote-unquote, smaller region in terms of number of teams, and leave one of the best in the world out just because you got to make the competition stiff? Right. So by combining this, like, I think they'll give them enough slots to where it'll make for a really compelling event in Europe. It is a little bit unfortunate for CIS, like, directly, but as a whole, I think it would work out if they balance the number of teams right, because the CIS RMR event becomes a joke. Like, Gambit, Sprout, and Navi. Like, who else is there? You know, everybody else is an afterthought. So you kind of got to give them 3 slots, or you take away a slot, and then everyone's going to be up in arms of, oh wow, well this other CIS team is ranked in the top 10. Like how are they not getting
Right.
Like how do we not have 3 slots for our region when we have 3 dominant teams?
And meanwhile, we're still doing the Asian thing, huh?
It's Asia Pacific. So this way we don't have to worry about like, oh, it's a guaranteed Chinese team, and then you're gonna have Greyhound and Renegades.
I still feel like all of this is such a, and you know what? And until they change my mind by actually winning, I'm gonna feel this way. But I feel like it's a charity case at this point.
No, but like now by combining Asia and Asia Pacific, like they're gonna get like one slot,
and it's
so
at
let
least it
them
makes
all duke it out,
sense.
and then they still have representation. But it's not like we have a Chinese team and then we have 2 below average like all Australian teams in there, which they weren't below average at one point. I'm just talking about right now, guys. Right. Relax. But like this way, they still have representation, a way to fight for that slot. But it's not like we have to see Tyloo get their ass handed to them in group stage again. Like it could be Renegades get their ass handed to them this time. Like they'll have a slot there, but it should go to the best teams. And so Europe is going to have 7 or 8 slots available to them. America will have 2 probably, and then Asia will have 1. And I think that kind of works out because not counting like Legends and all those teams that automatically get their invites.
Right. Yeah, of course. And last but not least with the major prize pool, and I know this is kind of a controversial topic, the prize pool is still at $1 million. And I know a lot of people on Twitter were saying that this is kind of a joke, it needs to increase and blah, blah, blah. And you know me, I'm not one that will poo-poo a tournament just because the prize pool. I think the major for CS is one of them. I think that it holds enough clout where you don't necessarily need the big prize pool to gather the attention of it, right? Like, and we could see how it's happened with Dota. We've even rated it, and we talk about it when we do our tier list with Dota, is like, the TI has kind of cannibalized all the hype around Dota's year, that you only kind of care about the TI at this point because that's where all the money and the hype is at. So I get people's argument for that, to not have it like be a crowd-funded tournament, which I somewhat agree.
Put a cap, like I agree with you. Like Dota kills itself in that regard, right? Because no other event on this show, we will never talk about another Dota event
except for the TI. However, Anuj, when you have, and I saw Doa, friend of the show, tweet this out because he's a big trading card game guy. There is a trading card game out there called Flesh and Blood. Have you ever heard about this?
No.
Neither have I. It has roughly 8,000 followers on Twitter. They have a tournament coming up with a prize pool of, you guessed it, $1 million.
Well, 8,000 card player games have probably spent about 48 million combined. To stay involved.
You are not wrong on
that.
But
I 100% agree with you. I don't need Counter-Strike to have a $10 million major. That's not what I'm asking for either. But 2-3 million, maybe Valve throws in another million, makes it a $2 million event, and then you let the crowd fund up to an additional 2 million, right? Release some special cool souvenir case, some bullshit in the game that even we would buy, right? Like if there was something tied directly to that major, and just cap it. People can continue to buy afterwards, but you can cap the prize pool up to an additional 2 million, make it a $4 million event. Yes, that's significantly more than like what other events offer, but like there's several $1 million events in Counter-Strike now. Right. Like there's at least a couple of them. And so it's not.
And I would like to see like maybe the winning team get straight up 1 million and then the rest is divvied up. However, like give the winning team that fat check and then worry about the rest.
Deserved. Like they pull the numbers without the prize pool to deserve that kind of pay.
When ESL is selling for $1 billion, I think the tournaments representing by it can also afford a little bigger prize pool than $1 million. I understand we don't need the $30 million prize pool and this crazy TI amount. I'm not saying it needs that, right? Because then again, the conversation becomes the prize pool. But the prize pool does somewhat have to scale to the importance of the event. And like a little, like you said, like little Joe Schmoes are throwing $1 million tournaments nowadays. Like we've kind of learned like $1 million. Don't get me wrong. I would take $1 million, but from a tournament perspective is not like mind blowing. Like companies out there have a lot of money.
Well,
so
especially when it's
it.
like they're only getting really 500-600, you know, and then they're getting taxed on top of that. So they're really getting like 400. So they're really only getting less than like 100K per player after they pay the coach and
right, which is still nice. Don't get me wrong, but
I mean, but it's not like that. It's not that much money.
No,
for what they're doing. They're
for
professional
what,
athletes,
right? For what the hype
like,
about it is like, congratulations, you are in Counter-Strike history, and here is $75,000. Like,
yeah, like,
okay,
it's not that crazy. So I agree. The winning team should at least get $1 million. I would feel good about that, right?
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, like I don't care what the prize pool is. Winning team gets $1 million and then figure it out. So that's probably like you said.
How did PGL get the major again? Like, does this just show that Valve just takes whoever's like paying them the most or whatever to get? Like, I don't understand how PGL had a really poor showing at the last major in terms of like audio quality, and it had several technical issues during the major. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like the worst thing ever, but for a major, you expect a little bit more.
So
and
I have a
theory.
Getting
back to back, so I'm a little curious.
I have a theory. Because like I said, I don't think Blast is interested in hosting a major. They got they got their own stuff going on, and I said it last week. I don't think they care about a major, to be honest with you. So there's that. And I think with the whole ESL DreamHack thing going on behind the scenes, they probably were way too preoccupied approaching Valve about this major and said, let PGL have it again. We'll take the next one when we have,
under our new ownership.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When we have Saudi Arabia money to put on a good major. That's my theory behind this, is that there's just not enough dogs in the fight at this point to have, this isn't 5 years ago where you have PGL and MLG and, Face It and all these other people competing for majors anymore. Like ESL and DreamHack are one now. Right?
Well, ESL, DreamHack, and Face It.
Oh, right. Yeah. Face It is DreamHack and all that, right? So there you have now what were 3 companies into one. And normally all 3 of those would have been competing for major roles. MLG is no longer a thing. E-League, no longer a thing. Like all these guys that used to compete for majors, they're not. I mean, like who else do people
want? It's like Star Ladder, PGL, Blast, and then like the new conglomerate.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So people are like, whoa, PGL got it again. Well, there's not a whole lot of options at this point. And if Blast doesn't care,
it's just interesting that they got it back to back. Yeah, but I've heard that Blast doesn't care, which is super unfortunate because I think they would do a really good job of hosting it. So I kind of wish they would care a little bit.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't think they do. They put on a good enough show, other than like you said, just the clout, I guess. So there's some CS for you. Let's break down some Valorant VCT drama, and then we'll get into some e-news and call this show a day. We did have the VCT NA, which is what we're kind of going to focus on more or less here, wrap up. So again, this is like a qualifier for a qualifier for a qualifier. So, there's a lot of drama going around. It almost makes me think people forget the fact that there's 2 or 3 other chances for teams to qualify on. But was there anything major that you wanted to touch on to start off with?
I mean, so first of all, I think it's cool that we saw some new blood, kind of make it to the big stage, which I think making it to this challenger stage, I mean, it means a lot to make it to this, right? Because top 2 from this then go play for the Masters, which if you win that, then you're in, champions or whatever it's called at the end of the year. So there's a lot of weight tied to it. But we did see some new names that a lot of us, probably wouldn't have expected to see from the stage 1 qualifier. We had the Guard, which didn't know where they came from, and Xset, although the brand name has grown, still relatively.
Guard has a Seiya player on it.
Seiya player, yeah.
Which was former
T1.
Yeah, but what did he go by? Spider.
Yeah.
So he switched. I don't know why. I don't know why he went from Seiya player in Overwatch to Spider and now back to Seiya, but whatever. I have his autograph. Did you know that? Fun fact.
That might be worth something here pretty soon. And then from this most recent one, I would say all four of these teams a little bit of a surprise, right? Evil Geniuses, massive roster overhaul needed to happen. They tried. I think they were like a co-ed group that they had there for a while, and then it dropped down to where I think just Potter at one point was the last remaining, and now they've kind of just moved around all five, added young boy Dre onto the team. Looked really good. They made it. Happy for EG because they put in a lot of work into this roster to get it to this part. Friend of the show, the Pittsburgh Knights. Like, really cool to see them make it into this round. For those of you that, if you know, you know, but Ocean is the coach for Pittsburgh Knights, and Ocean has this long-standing meme in NACS and was globally known within Counter-Strike for A, developing young talent, but B, kind of just being a meme a little bit, but very cool for them. Luminosity, number of overhauls, Tim. How many people have been pulled from that roster to other teams? I mean, since Valorant started, they've probably lost 10 players to other orgs they've been used as a feeder system, and they still make it through with the core of CS players. And then Rise, who are, again, kind of some players that have been moved off of other teams, like Shanks, one of the more interesting personalities, to say the least. Neptune, some of these guys. So just new blood kind of injecting into the scene. And we thought something like this could happen. Like, at the beginning, it was just the big name teams getting a lot of the recognition. But as we start to find other talent and they get an opportunity, look at the NA top 12. It's crazy because there's so many different teams in here now than there were a year ago.
I am glad for a lot of these guys too. Like say a player, right? He is a guy that I root for. Just coming from Overwatch, I still have I'm a softie when it comes to my Overwatch League people. All right, yeah, I shit on the game. Yeah, I don't play it anymore.
Did you root for FaZe when they had that full Overwatch roster? Were you rooting for them to win?
I'm rooting for the players, not the organage. Okay.
Okay.
Every day I have to tell myself not to phase up. They make it so hard because I really, really want to like them. But every day I pull up a picture of Banks and I'm like, that's why I don't do it.
And then they release FaZe NASCAR.
Yeah. We'll talk about any news, but I might do it, but I don't know yet. But I like seeing, say, a player transfer rosters and find success. Hayes transferring rosters, finding success. I like seeing that. I also, though, appreciate version 1 being there, right? A team last year, which was kind of a surprise at the first major, kind of fell off towards the tail end, but for them to make a reappearance, it's just good to see that. I'll even throw Cloud9 in there, even though they were invited and just based off of last year's finishing and all that. But the fact that they're still having a strong showing this year, right? I kind of put Cloud9 in version 1. Cloud9 was just the second half version of version 1. That's how my brain looks at them. So the fact that they were overperforming but to see them back there, I find it exciting. One team that I would still love to see back in, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, is TSM. Now, TSM, we've talked about it before, has somehow turned themselves into the villains of Valorant. I don't know how you can go from being number 1, 2 team in the world, everyone loves you, to being an absolute, not normally when teams drop off, you get the sympathy of the fan base. No. People want to see that org. Their fans are fanatics, but everyone else outside of that wants to see that org completely crumble.
Yeah, I mean, partially they're loud on Twitter as an org, and
Right.
the players and the fan base. They're all relatively loud on Twitter and they're very vocal. You have, we call them excuses, whatever, but I feel like they've made a lot of excuses for their play recently, and now you've had these roster changes and you're still not performing. I mean, I don't blame their head of esports or head of Valorant division, I forgot who it was, came out and talked about some major changes. They're moving the whole team to Austin. Everybody is essentially on the chopping block, and the GM has free reign to make unlimited changes. Like, they came out and said all of this right after this event.
I appreciate that, right? For him to come out and say, look, we're not performing to our standards. These are some of the changes we're going to make right up front to see what's going on. I like that move. However, Anuj, and this is why I think they're part of the reason why they're in the situation that they're in. Like how they're like, we're going to make as many moves as we need to make and blah, 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 blah. I think that's why TSM is in the situation they're in, is because they made so many moves early on. Like, they got a taste of what being number one was like. And then as soon as they dropped off from that, they were like, okay, Drone, you're out. Cutler's out. We're making changes. We're going to mix this up. And it's just like, we see it happen so many times in esports in general, but I felt like TSM was just one of those guys where rather than trying, like, you guys were there, you saw what being number one was. You obviously had that capability at some point in time. So rather than trying to work with the pieces you have, TSM just got roster change happy. They were making too many moves early on, and they didn't stick with what got them there at first.
Like, they needed to make a move or two, right? Like, maybe Cutler, I think a lot of people saw the writing on the wall, probably wasn't going to work out. So maybe you just like swap him out and try a new fifth and see what happens. The Drone release was weird to everybody, right? Because Drone was regarded as one of the best players in the world at the time. Like, he was looked at as a very good, competent player. I think that release kind of shocked a lot of people. But I think you're absolutely right. They kind of lost their way. They thought they deserved to be number one, and if this team wasn't going to do it, okay, we'll just go pick up the next two and build them around Sabrosa and Wardell, and that'll fix all of our problems.
They're on their third in-game leader right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to fix these problems with just a simple roster change here. I think they need to figure out, A, who's dedicated to making this team better, right? Is Wardell here to focus on his streaming career and build his brand, or is he 100% committed to the team? I'm not saying he is one way or the other, mind you. I'm just saying they need to figure this out. Sabrosa, same thing. Like, is he going to take it to the next level, or is this the best that he's going to be? If this is the best that he's going to be, maybe it's time to move on from him. You know, so I think they need to go through each piece of the roster and figure out who's 100% committed to making us the best team in the world. I think moving everybody to Austin to build some team camaraderie and to keep eyes on them, because it really does like allow you to kind of have that watchful eye over your group. This is why management wants you to work in the office, you know, is because they want to be able to see who's doing what, who's, you know, taking the extra effort and going the extra mile. Can't do that in this environment. And so I applaud them for being open to doing everything. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but they didn't look good. You know, they won a couple of games and then they kind of got smacked by everybody else that they played. I think they lost their last 4 best out of 3s. They had so many chances to make top 4 here. You know, like so many chances to do that and qualify, and they weren't able to do so.
I wonder what are the odds that we might see Drone back on TSM. The fact that he's announced that he's coming back after a little bit of a break. You know, his father passed away.
And he's like now just became officially a free agent.
Just the other day, he tweeted out saying, "Hey, you know what? Had to take some time away, obviously, rightfully so, but I'm back. Like I'm ready to do this." So I'm excited. Obviously, I love Drone.
I think he wants to move on. If I were him, I wouldn't want to go back unless you're like revamping the roster, because obviously somebody did not want you on that roster, and you would assume it's one of the two that stayed.
Right,
so,
it's one of the ones that are still there.
Yeah, I feel like he deserves a fresh start. Like, just go somewhere else and go for it, you know? So, you know, this is the thing with Valorant that I'm not really enjoying, is they don't have any third-party organizers that really are big enough for me to focus on. So now, like, all these teams got to wait till May to kind of go play again and try to qualify for them
and
stage
that was
2,
the
and
issue
it's like
last year and every year. Yeah, it's
I don't like it. I wasn't sure 100% how I felt about it. Now we're like in year 2 of it, and I'm just realizing like I don't like it. It's not very fun as a fan to like not watch your team. I like watching Navi play every other weekend. I like watching G2 and Vitality and all these teams go head to head on like a semi-weekly or at least once every 3-week basis. They're all kind of playing in the same events, and it doesn't matter what event it is because you're getting like good Counter-Strike. Well, now it's like you're just I feel like there's like all these weird breaks, and I can't get overly invested into one team if my team did not qualify. Like if you're a TSM fan, what the hell are you doing for the next few months?
Yeah, I feel like it's that weird part in esports where it's like, they kind of have a season or a tournament layout, but then after that, it's not active enough. You know what I'm saying? Like how you were saying,
you just got to wait till stage 2. You're just waiting. And like I don't understand how teams want to pay these salaries. Like if you're just not playing in like other than open events that come up here and there, like I don't know. I find it hard to justify. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me the way it's done right now.
Well, at least we have this year until things change, until they try going maybe like a league route or something like that. But it is what it is at the moment. I am curious on your thoughts. Did you see what Nitro had to say? Nitro did an interview recently, and
I did see this.
Kind of revolved around his time in Valorant and why going back to CS. And I'm quoting this loosely because I don't have it here in front of me, but you bringing up the Wardell streaming thing reminded me. And he was saying how he just wanted to go back to CS because he missed it. He wasn't having as much fun in Valorant as he thought he was going to. But then he also brought up the fact that part of the issue is he feels like the NA side of it is more worried about content creation and personal brands than working as a team and getting better as a team, or even individually getting better. And they're too focused on content creation and personal brand as opposed to EU, which doesn't do it as much.
That doesn't surprise. I did hear this quote.
Yeah,
and like we're pretty egocentric. Like we're a pretty egocentric culture, and like followers matter more to us than almost anything else. It feels like.
Look, if someone on Twitter told me that the sun was a star, like I said, I mean, this is a poor example. If someone on Twitter told someone that the sun was a star, but that person only has like 5 followers, someone would bring it up. That's why they don't believe you. Even though it's like it's all facts.
It's just kind of the culture that we've created, unfortunately. So and Valorant is like young, like the younger people are playing it, and so it's just driven. I mean, the different generations treat things differently. Counter-Strike is a little bit more of a boomer game, and I do think the people that are Counter-Strike lacks content, if more than anything, right? Like they don't have those.
But we've heard this about the NA EU side of things forever now, and that's what makes me concerned with NA Valorant, right? Like we've constantly heard, well, it's because the NA people don't practice as hard, right? Like NA teams, they want to play the game, right? They have no problem sitting and playing the game for 14 hours a day, but it's the practicing and getting better part. They just want to stream, they want to do private matches or whatever, but they don't want to practice. And we've heard that
they don't have the Mamba mentality, is what you're saying.
Do not have the Mamba mentality, and so that it concerns me that we're still hearing this to this day about it. So it's just same old, but it's just concerning.
Yeah, I mean, I believe there's some truth to that. I don't think Nitro is just completely BSing.
No, and obviously it's probably just his personal experience, right? But he's been around long enough to where I believe him.
Yeah.
I believe him.
No point in him BSing that either.
Unless
I guess he's trying to make Counter-Strike look better, or justify his move back. But I'm sure there's some truth to that.
Right. One last bit here. There are certain, you always see this. Like if you look up Google goofy laws, right? And you'll always find some stupid thing where you're like, why the hell is this a law? And mostly it's because some idiot somewhere did something to create that being a law. Well, we have a scenario like this, that Riot has officially now made a rule, Anuj, that coaches are no longer able to watch the official broadcast during a match.
I was going to make this a yikes if we weren't talking about Valorant today.
How are
you going to monitor this? What are you doing? Like, coach needs to be on camera with 360-degree lenses all around them so you know exactly what's in the room.
How is this already not just a general rule on the rule sheet? Like
that's also true.
You just straight up were like, I guess maybe they never thought that they needed to have the rule. But yeah, like we've always said this. How are you going to... Hell, the only reason you knew one coach was using in-game chat is because he was an idiot and put it in all, right?
Yeah, that's how this all spurred up anyway.
So now you're going to go the other way. Like, it just doesn't... I understand why the rule is there, because at this point, again, you just have to have the rule. But... good luck. Good luck trying to figure that one out.
Dumb, okay, it's cool. I'm glad you put it in the rule book. Tell me how you're going to enforce it now.
Right. So there's that little Valoranting for your ear holes. Anuj, let's get into some e-news. As we got quite a bit to get to for CSGO. Bentet rejoins Tyloo.
It just feels right, Tim. It just feels right.
Just in time for them to qualify for the major and lose first round. Pasha wins his fight. So Pasha Biceps, former Virtus Pro player.
A beautiful fight, by the way. Did you see the knockout?
I was trying to find highlights. Maybe I was looking for them too soon. I couldn't find anything.
I found them on Twitter, so I couldn't really even probably tell you where to go look. But a knockout victory broke the...
I saw pictures. He looked pretty beat up.
He broke the guy's eye socket and moved his orbital bone around. The guy had to go to the hospital, so really messed him up. But good for Pasha. Great win. Dude is just in phenomenal shape. Phenomenal shape, and it was cool. It was just, I don't know. It was cool. Only a Counter-Strike player could do that in esports.
I always love it because anytime someone makes fun of esports people, I always show them Pasha and stuff. I'm like, oh, he plays video games. You gonna make fun of him? As I'm chugging down Mountain Dew and eating pizza still. But
he represents all of us, Tim.
That's right.
He represents all of us.
That's right. Would you, if your life depended on it, would you rather play him one-on-one in Counter-Strike or fight him but with street rules?
No, I would 100% play him one-on-one in Counter-Strike.
I would go street rules.
He would absolutely destroy me.
I have more confidence in my dirty fighting than I do in Counter-Strike.
He just broke a dude's face with his bare hands. And that other guy, Tim, mind you, is not drinking Mountain Dews and playing video games. That other guy is a professional fighter, and he just broke his face. So I'm going to take my chances that maybe... just maybe.
Maybe he's a little rusty in Counter-Strike.
Gets a little input lag. Sensitivity's off by 0.1, 0.2. Things don't feel the same. He misses that shot. I'll risk it there.
In Valorant news, we said drone's a free agency. I think is it this weekend? No. When is the... Oh, yeah, it is. Start date the 11th. So yeah, busy weekend. We have North America stage, all the stage ones coming up here. So that's going to be a busy weekend. We also have the Anaheim pool for Halo starts on the 11th. Group A, Pool A looks pretty beefy. You have Cloud9, Sentinels just in there alone. So that's going to be exciting to watch. Again, as we mentioned earlier with Halo, kind of interested to see how many people are watching it. Call of Duty kicked off this weekend for those of you who forgot. Look, quiet start for the Call of Duty League. I don't know how good of a sign it is when I forget that it's happening until I see tweets the day of that it's starting. Oh man, that is this weekend, huh? But we'll, again, we'll see where it goes. Quick 0-2 starts, though. If I would have told you these teams would be together for an 0-2 start, Anuj, would you have believed me? Paris Legion, New York, and Optic Texas all starting off 0-2.
Yeah, for some reason, and you mentioned this in one of your tweets, as a Dallas sports fan in general, this was right up our alley with how life has gone over the past 20 years around here outside of the Mavericks, right? Like, this anticipation was high. They were killing it in scrims. The media was surrounding them. I even heard a "How about them Cowboys," I think, at one of their rallies. Like, everything was just primed for this to be our year. And yeah, you get reverse swept and you don't look good, and you lose in round 11s in both games. Like, I mean, I don't know, Tim. It's just fitting for Dallas sports, dude. I'm just used to it.
It really is. And yes, to follow up, because Wolf says, I think the person Pasha was fighting was an influencer. I think it was a celebrity event. So it wasn't like a sanctioned UFC type fighting. It was all.
I didn't think it was the other guy's first fight, though. I thought he had.
It might
done
have not
a
been his
fight
official
before or
first
something.
fight, but I think all of them were. It was like supposed to be like a Polish celebrity event, which I am Polish, and I like to consider myself a celebrity, so maybe I will fight him the next
The
time.
other guy looked like somebody out of a Rocky movie, is all I can tell you.
Bro,
he
that's
looked
just- that's-
intimidating as shit.
that's
Like,
just-
go look at him. Shaved side of the head. I mean, it just looked
That's
like
just
somebody that was
Eastern
ready
European
to whoop
for
ass.
you. That's those
Yeah.
that's those Polish people slinging potatoes on the farm all day.
Influencer and bodybuilder. So yes, like a very in shape person.
Well, maybe I'll catch him off guard. Maybe he'll think
What do
he's
you-
gonna
you
fight
think you're
someone
gonna build?
muscular, and then I'm gonna walk in and he's like, I don't know how to fight this. It's
Bro,
like
there's no bushes for him.
it's like when you play against someone who's just really bad at a game and they're just off position because they're not pushing the angles that you expect.
They're not counter strafing. So you just-
Right. You're waiting for a jiggle peek and they're just running right through the corner. That's my strategy. In other news, F-tier esport Quake, their pro league started this past weekend. So there's that. Ubisoft announces no more third-party organizers and move all esports in-house. I like the move. I don't know what that means necessarily, but we'll see. Like, we'll see. Funny
Yeah.
enough,
It's one of those things where just gotta wait and see what they do.
a
with
week
it, right?
after Activision Blizzard announces they're not doing that anymore, Ubisoft is like, guys, you know what would be a brilliant idea? If we did that thing that they decided not to do because they're losing money.
Well, obviously,
do
there's
it.
a money portion to this, but it's a wait and see. The announcement, I'll give this to them. Like, the announcement sounded exciting and powerful. Like, it
Right.
felt like it meant something, right?
Yeah.
What it means, I don't know necessarily, but
I'm
it came
assuming-
across as like, we're gonna fix this. Like, that's how I took it, at least. So.
I'm assuming because they have enough games underneath their name that they might want to do almost like a BlizzCon type of event, probably.
What are their esports games, though? They have two of them that I can think of.
Rainbow Six.
And there's one other.
what's the
that's
other one you're
big
thinking
for
of?
them.
I assume Splinter Cell, when they come out with one, they'll do
Brawlhalla.
Brawlhalla, which is another. I think we gave it a
I'd say
pretty
that's
low
not
tier.
big, really, but it's another one.
Right. So, I'm sure this probably means that they're going to be pushing more, I guess.
Maybe making another esports like centric
Well, they
game,
are
so
coming
it'd
out with that one. That free-to-play one. Remember, they like teased it and then it looked like a free-to-play mobile game, which it kind of is. What was that game called?
yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about.
But that doesn't look good. That game will be dead in like a few
No,
weeks.
but still, that's,
Sure, but
That's-
we both know where that one's
it's
headed,
just going to
so-
be another one here, so.
Yeah.
There's that. FaZe Clan announces that they are partnering with NASCAR. I think as far as merch is concerned, I don't know what else. They came out with a t-shirt. It looks good. I'm trying my damnedest because you know me, I'm a big NASCAR guy. But I'm like the furthest from a FaZe guy. But I really want to buy this shirt. But I have like, every time I have an urge to buy anything FaZe, which is like once a day, I just Google FaZe Banks and I'm like, That was close. No way am I buying anything from this guy. So I really want
a cool partnership for sure.
I really, really, really want to like FaZe, but I really, really, really think FaZe Banks is a total tool. So it's difficult.
Unfortunately, he does that for a lot of people. You're not alone.
I am in a tough spot. Boston Scott, former good dude of the week, who donated to our friends at Philly Esports for their Smash event, is the first 2 sports pro player for esports and traditional sports, as he signed a backup roster thing for Rocket League on Dignitas side. So, you know, I'll give him that. I don't know if he's ever actually going to play or if this is a publicity stunt.
No, but he's like badass at right. Like he's grand champion status in Rocket League, so he is more than just a top 1% player.
He's good at the game. He's good at the game. How many times do you see in Counter-Strike people say, "I'm global elite," but that's so far
but they
from
actually
being...
track like their rankings, right? So if you're top, Adam Schefter tweeted this out, so I went and looked it up. He's like top 0.5 in the game, which means you're less than 0.5% of the best, and they have over like 6 million active players. So like he's a legitimate, very good player.
He is good. He can hold his own probably. So, yeah, as a fill-in, right? He's a fill-in. So that's cool. Yeah. You know, I'm interested to see if it ever comes to something that, you know, I don't know. I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm excited. Cool. I think it's cool. Like, cool. I mean,
maybe we'll get him on the show. Maybe he can talk to us about it. Other than that, Rockstar finally officially announces that they are working on GTA 6. So,
wasn't that assumed?
It's been assumed, much like when I tell my wife I'm going to go into my office so I can work on things, right? And she just assumes I'm playing games. It's like when I tell her, like, hey, I'm going to go in my office and play video games tonight. She's like, yeah, I know. Like, thanks for the update. Like,
yeah, there was like a lot of excitement around that announcement. All I was thinking of, like, well, GTA 5 came out like 5-6 years ago. Like, what else have they been doing?
They probably saw like the first time that it's been out there.
When did GTA 5 come out?
I mean, PS3.
2010. Jesus, GTA 5. Oh, wait, that's Gran Turismo 5. Wow, I was about to say, hold on.
I mean, you're probably not that far off, though. It came out on the PS3.
2013.
Yeah, 2013.
Okay, so almost 10 years. Like, 10-year anniversary will be next year.
But you know what? It probably still makes them a pretty good amount of money. So that's why.
Yeah, like the streamer content alone, with all the RP stuff and all that.
That's exactly why.
They don't want to have to release a new game, but come on. Like, what else have they been doing for 10 years? Surely they've been working on this for more than just... It's not like, I hope they didn't just start development last week.
I'm sure they've been kicking it around at least a little bit.
Like, what if their announcement was, we just started development on GTA 6. We anticipate a 2027 release date. That would have been devastating news, so...
I mean, would it though? I feel like GTA guys kind of already just assume, like at this point in the GTA fanboyism, like would that really just deter you from being like, oh no, like the game's almost 10 years old. I think you can wait a couple more years.
Yeah, but like people waited 5 years in between 4 and 5, so they're like double that time. We thought Halo had it rough.
No,
GTA fans really got it rough.
Yeah, and as gameplay video says in chat, Half-Life 3. That's never coming out though. Never.
That's just a pipe dream at this point.
Never.
That's Half-Life Alyx for you now.
Yeah. No, Half-Life 3 will never happen. A lot of good games, but you know, it's the way she wrote. All right, there you have it. It's done. It's in the books. Episode 372 of the Centering Esports podcast, presented by Philly Esports. Thank you so much for everyone for listening. Lou, thank you for following the channel. Everyone in chat, thank you for participating. We will be back sometime next week, whether that be Monday or Tuesday. I mean, I guess we could just do a show on Monday. Valentine's Day.
Kelly's working that day.
That's why we could probably do a show.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll figure it out what day we'll do it, but we will do a show for the season of love. Other than that, enjoy a weekend of esports. We have a lot. Halo, Valorant, COD will do. COD are playing matches during the Super Bowl, so
might not have too many updates from them.
Good luck on that. Competing with the
Super Bowl is going to be Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday. So everyone have a wonderful Super Bowl. Definitely not doing the show on Sunday. We just learned that. So we'll talk to you some other time, though. For Anuj, I'm Tim. Love you. Goodbye.
Bengals or Rams? Quick, yell it out.
Rams, of course. They have Stafford.
All right, I'm going to go Bengals.
All right, fair enough.
Just for fun.
All right, there you go. I actually don't have an end screen yet on this OBS, so boom, that's the end screen. All right, everyone in the chat, thank you for sticking by. It's already almost 11. I got to pre-download Lost Ark. Oh my God, this group text message.
Jesus Christ.
What has everyone been talking about?
We just got our offer rejected for the house that we just put into.
Was that the one you looked at this weekend?
Yeah. I had a feeling we would get rejected.
Was it a nice house?
It was the one that I showed you.
Yeah.
Chat
but
right
it was,
there. Yeah. It was nice. Like it was massive.
Yeah, Lost Ark. Wolf. Hold on, let me answer Wolf here. Yes, we are playing Lost Ark tomorrow, 1000%.
Yep.
Azina.
I will be Wolf. I'll be in. If you want to play, I will be in Discord probably well before Tim. I would guess usually.
Yeah.
So I'll be on around like 7:30 tomorrow. So if you get in Discord, I'll fill you in on just to make sure we're on that server. But we should be. Azina is the name of the server. US East. If anything changes, though, I'll make sure to mention it in there. But yeah, we'll be on tomorrow. We'll be on this whole week. I should say this whole month, probably.
Till it dies in a month, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Till it dies. You get a month worth of gameplay nowadays.
Listen to this. So they replied back to us, which was nice of them at least. Unfortunately, yada yada yada, we didn't accept your offer. I will give you some info where hopefully this helps your clients on their next offer. We had 3 offers way over asking. Most offers waived appraisal completely, which means they're not going to get the house appraised at what they bought it at. There's no way.
That meaning they're okay overpaying. Like they know
okay
they're
overpaying.
offering too much.
Almost all offers had buyer pay title and not ask for a home warranty. All offers used seller's preferred title, and gave a free leaseback option until March 18th.
Free leaseback for a month?
I mean, so not really a month. It would have been 2 weeks. Free leaseback.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess in the term of if you want the house, then it's not that big a deal, but still.
We did free leaseback for a week on this house when we bought it. They needed an extra week to move out, and I was like, that's fine.
Right, yeah, in the end of the day. I guess if they asked for it, I wouldn't have an issue. Was there like any guarantee? Did they do like guarantees like that bullshit?
What do you mean?
Like when we bought this house, that was like the thing is that buyers were offering guarantees. So if it didn't appraise for the amount, you would guarantee.
Yeah, that's what that was. So they waived the appraisal fee, not the appraisal fee, the appraisal.
Okay.
Completely.
So just
like
no matter what, it's like I'm offering you.
Won't appraise over.
So, like, say people were offering, like, what do you think when they say way over asking? Like,
my guess is they got offered $100K over asking.
Whew, and they were willing to pay $100K over that asking
price.
Well,
it probably would be like, if they got the right appraisal, they would probably be like 70 to 80K over.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like probably around 50 to 70K, let's say, over appraisal.
That's fucking nuts, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Buying a house is so stupid. I blame people from California. They're the ones doing it. They're just offering so high over.
It's East Coast and West Coast.
Well, yeah.
It's from the East Coast and the West Coast are both fucking it up. Like,
and what's funny is like they don't realize like that's what fucked theirs up in the first place. Is like you guys are just throwing money that you don't have to throw at the house, and then
like I'm not even like conservative, but I don't want Texas to go like full liberal.
like I don't want
I'm okay
I don't
with the
want
balance.
the market being like that, where it's just like the only reason this house is worth this much is because you were a dumbass and overpaid $100,000. Like you didn't have to. You're just doing it to whip it around. Man, that sucks.
I never really felt broke until I started shopping for a house.
I mean, I could show you the houses we're looking for if it will make you feel any better.
I mean, it's just one of those things, though. It's like...
No, you're right. When you're looking for a house, you're reminded that there's always someone with more money. like
it's kind of insane.
It's the same way how I feel looking for a job. I'm constantly reminded that there's someone better than me. It's like, okay. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. All right, I'm going to kill the stream, everyone. Love you. We will talk to you next week at some point. We'll figure it out. And tomorrow...
we'll see a couple of y'all tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see a couple of you guys tomorrow on Lost Ark. We will be streaming it. Having fun. See you guys.